Welcome to Life Stories, where real voices share the raw, unfiltered moments that shape who we are. Today's story is about love, betrayal, and the courage to walk away when silence becomes louder than words. It's the story of a woman who thought she had it all, until one dinner changed everything. A husband, a controlling mother in law, and years of quiet heartbreak finally come to a breaking point. Subscribe to the Life Stories channel to follow today's powerful journey of self respect, resilience, and rediscovering freedom. Now, let's begin the story. My name is Claire, and for 6 years I was married to a man I thought I truly knew. His name was Ryan, steady, warm, and charming in that quiet, dependable way that makes you believe you finally found home. We met through mutual friends in London, both of us expats living in Denver at the time. At first, everything moved naturally. We took long walks in the parks, shared silent mornings over coffee, and cooked dinner together like we were already writing the story of a calm, content life. Ryan wasn't grandiose with his affection, but he had this way of making things feel safe. He'd rub my back absent-mindedly while watching television, always remembered to bring me tea when I worked late, and once sat through an entire weekend of my cousin's theater performances just because I asked. I mistook that quiet loyalty for love. We married after 2 years, a sweet ceremony in a hillside garden outside Boulder. It wasn't extravagant, but it was ours. I remember looking at him during our vows, thinking, I've done it. I found my person. For a while, I lived in that illusion. The house was warm, the fridge always had fresh bread and wine, and I never had to question if he'd come home. But there was one shadow always present at the edge of our light. Patricia, his mother. She wasn't loud or overtly hostile, not at first. Her presence was more like a constant cold draft under a closed door. The first time we met, she eyed me up and down and said, "You're taller than I expected." No smile, just cool scrutiny. I laughed it off, assuming she was just nervous. After all, I had never had trouble with anyone's family before. I was the type who brought wine to dinner, baked holiday pies from scratch, sent birthday cards early. But with Patricia, none of it mattered. From the beginning, it was as if she'd already decided I wasn't good enough. Her comments were small but sharp. "That's the dress you're wearing?" Or, "You're very brave not to wear makeup," said with a tight smile and tilted head. She dropped by unannounced, letting herself into our home with the spare key Ryan had given her, and comment on my robe or the state of our laundry like she lived there. I remember one Sunday morning in particular. I was still in my dressing gown, sipping coffee, when she walked into the kitchen uninvited. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "I used to wear things like that before I got married, too." I stood there, stunned, the cup trembling slightly in my hand. I asked Ryan to talk to her. Begged, really. I tried to explain how it made me feel, like a guest in my own home. He'd always deflect. "She means well," he'd say. "She's just old-fashioned. She's trying in her own way." But I knew better. She wasn't trying to connect, she was trying to control. And Ryan, whether by choice or habit, let her. As the years passed, I began to notice how tightly her strings were tied around him. He wouldn't book a holiday without checking her schedule. If we went furniture shopping, he'd send her photos for her opinion. I once overheard him asking if she liked the curtains we chose. Curtains. He never told her no, not even when she criticized how I folded towels or cooked eggs. And I, who had always been confident, independent, sure of my voice, began to question myself. I shrank in rooms I used to fill. I stopped inviting people over. I found myself constantly calculating her reactions before I made even the smallest decisions. Then came the night I truly saw how far things had slipped. Ryan came home one evening, smiling like he'd won the lottery, and told me he'd made dinner reservations at Marshall's Bistro. That was where we'd gone for our first anniversary. "We need a night for just us," he said, touching my cheek, "to reconnect." For a fleeting moment, I believed him. I put on my black wrap dress, the one he used to love, and curled my hair. I did my makeup slowly, thoughtfully, as if I were preparing not just for a dinner, but for something deeper. A turning point. The restaurant was warm and intimate, candlelit with soft jazz in the background. We laughed over a glass of wine, shared bites of bread and butter. It felt like us again. For the first time in ages, I thought, maybe he sees me again. Maybe we're not lost yet. But then the door opened and everything changed. I heard her voice before I saw her. Why didn't you invite me? It cut through the low murmur of clinking glasses and quiet conversations like a cold knife. I froze. Ryan froze. Heads turned. I looked up, and there she was, Patricia, standing in the middle of Marshall's bistro, wearing a leopard print blouse, too much makeup, and dragging that oversized handbag she never left home without. She looked furious, betrayed even, like we'd done something criminal by having dinner without her. Ryan opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Then she marched straight toward our table, ignoring the stares from the other diners. "You told me you were staying in tonight," she said to Ryan, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. "You didn't say you were coming here. I told you I wanted to try this place." My heart began to pound. I looked at Ryan, silently begging him to say something, anything, to draw a line. But instead, he stood up slowly, pulled out the empty chair at our table and said, "Just sit, Mom. It's fine." No apology, no hesitation, no thought of how this might humiliate or hurt me. I stared at him in disbelief, my fork halfway to my mouth. I waited, hoping this was some twisted joke, that he'd look at me and say, "Of course not, Claire. This is our night. Let's go somewhere else." But he didn't. He motioned to the waiter to bring another place setting. That was it. I stood up, not in anger, but in something colder, deeper. A voice came out of me I didn't recognize, calm and final. "You two enjoy, because I'm done with this marriage." You could have heard a pin drop. The entire room went silent. Not a single clink of silverware, not a whispered word. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see Ryan's face, didn't want to see Patricia's smug expression or perform my pain for strangers. I just walked. I turned the corner outside the restaurant, breathing heavily, but not crying. Not yet. I called a car and went straight to my friend Maddie's flat in Littleton. When she opened the door, I couldn't even speak. I just collapsed into her arms. I didn't go home that night, or the next. When I finally returned, Ryan was waiting, his expression a strange mix of confusion and hurt, as if I had done something unthinkable. "You embarrassed me," he said. I stared at him. "You chose her," I said back. He tried to explain, said he didn't want to cause a scene, that Patricia would have made it worse if he'd sent her away. I just stood there. "You could have stood up for me," I said, "as a husband, as a man, as someone who's supposed to love me." He had no answer, just silence. That was when I knew it hadn't just been one bad night. It had been years of quiet betrayals, years of shrinking, of being pushed to the background while Patricia played first violin in a symphony meant for two. So I stopped asking. I stopped arguing. I began planning. I didn't scream. I didn't slam doors. I didn't pack my bags overnight in a blaze of anger. That's not how I do things. Instead, I went quiet. No more pleading with Ryan to set boundaries. No more pretending we were okay. I stopped engaging. No conversations, no small talk, no shared dinners. I slept in the guest room. I opened a new bank account, changed my direct deposit, and quietly began separating my life from his. And he didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he did and didn't care. But what I found next changed everything. One morning, while Ryan was in the shower, his phone buzzed. I wasn't snooping, but the screen lit up, a group chat. Just two names, Patricia and Ryan. The last message froze me in place. "Did you tell her yet?" My stomach turned. I opened the chat. Message after message from Patricia. "She's going to find out eventually. You said you'd tell her last week. It's not fair to keep hiding it. What were they hiding?" I handed him the phone as he came out of the shower. "Read it," I said. He didn't. He sat on the bed, face in his hands. "I was going to tell you," he mumbled. "Tell me what, Ryan?" And then it all spilled out. Patricia had moved into an apartment 2 floors below ours. 6 months ago. He helped her move in, helped her find the unit, helped carry the boxes. She'd been watching me come and go, day and night, silently haunting my life. He said she just wanted to be close, that it wasn't a big deal. I packed a bag that night and left again. It got worse. My lawyer discovered Patricia was listed as a co-owner of our condo. Ryan had added her during the purchase, calling her a silent investor. I had paid 87% of the deposit myself. The documents were processed through Patricia's friend's shady real estate office, which was later investigated for fraud. I had been completely left off parts of the contract. Then came the ultimate insult. Ryan handed me a folder, smiling like he was doing me a favor. "It's just a property settlement," he said. Inside was a quitclaim deed transferring all my rights to Patricia. "You're moving out anyway, right?" "This just makes it clean," he said. I didn't say a word. I walked straight out and gave the folder to my lawyer, who nearly slammed it shut. "This isn't a settlement," she said. "This is a trap." And Patricia wasn't done. She tried to list the condo for sale behind my back, used her name, posted my address, even scheduled an open house. But someone tipped me off, a neighbor who saw the sign and texted me, confused. That listing is now part of an active fraud investigation. Then came the final confrontation, at Patricia's place. I agreed to meet them, not to reconcile, but to confront. I brought a folder, bank statements, payment records, legal proof. But I wasn't the only one. Patricia's sister Diane was there too. She revealed the truth. The money Patricia used to buy her way into our home wasn't hers. It was from a family trust meant for grandchildren. Patricia forged documents to access it. Ryan's face crumbled. "Is that true?" Patricia didn't answer. I stood, folder in hand, and said calmly, "You can keep your lies, but you're not keeping my life or my name or my future." I left. The next day, I signed the divorce papers. I changed my name back. 3 months later, I live in a small apartment, no shared mortgage, no luxury countertops, just peace. I sleep better, I laugh louder, I cook without judgment. And if you're reading this, wondering whether it's time to walk away from someone who never stood up for you, here's your sign. Leaving wasn't easy. It never is, especially when you've built a life around someone you believed would protect you. But what I learned is that love without respect, without courage, without truth, it's not really love at all. It's just dependency dressed in hopeful colors. I walked away from a marriage that should have been a partnership, but was really a performance. A woman playing wife while her husband played the role of obedient son, with his mother pulling the strings from behind the curtain. For years, I sacrificed pieces of myself to keep peace in a war I never started. But peace that comes at the cost of your dignity isn't peace, it's surrender. Today, I wake up in a place that is fully mine. It's not big, it's not glamorous, but every corner feels like freedom. I've started therapy. I've rebuilt old friendships. I've rediscovered silence. Not the heavy silence of resentment, but the light kind, the healing kind. Sometimes I still think about the woman I was when I first walked into that restaurant. Hopeful, dressed up, wanting so badly to be seen. And I wish I could tell her, "You'll be okay. You'll find your way out." Because I did. And maybe if you're listening to this, you're standing in the middle of your own quiet heartbreak, wondering whether you deserve more. Let me be the voice that says, "You do." Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, please share it. And don't forget to subscribe to the Life Stories channel for more real stories about love, loss, resilience, and starting over. Your story matters. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is tell it.